Okay, moving on to the next division we'll be breaking down for today's show. I want to talk a little bit about the AFC East. And I think one of the main storylines going into this AFC East, and another storyline, really one of the biggest storylines in all of football, is the fact that the New England Patriots will enter this season without Tom Brady as their starting quarterback. And a lot of people are saying that possibly that could open up the door for other teams in the division to possibly win the division for the first time in 12 years. The Buffalo Bills kind of seem like that trendy pick that a lot of people are thinking about. But to be honest with you guys, my pick to win the AFC East is the New England Patriots. I don't trust Josh Allen as a quarterback to get the Buffalo Bills over the hump. And as good as Buffalo was last year, they still really weren't able to win that division. I've said it multiple times on this show. I think when Bill Belichick retires, this 2020 season is going to be a season that people look at and a season that people use as evidence when they say Bill Belichick is the best coach in the history of football, and I think it's because of the 2020 season. And I think when you look at this New England Patriot team and the way they've built it without Tom Brady, even though a lot of people are down on them, even though a lot of people are going to pick the Buffalo Bills to overthrow them, I'm not buying it. Cam Newton is a guy that has won at every level throughout his career. He's won at Auburn. He's won by leading the Carolina Panthers to a Super Bowl. They have a really improved offensive line. Their center, David Andrews, is back. They really missed him last year. Also, hopefully, Isaiah Wynn will be able to stay healthy at left tackle. A lot of people reference their weapons and the fact that they're not good enough to be weapons for a team that's good enough to win the AFC East. Well, I kind of disagree with that because, first of all, Cam Newton, when he led the Carolina Panthers to the Super Bowl, he didn't have any receivers whatsoever. Philly Brown was his number one guy. You give him Julian Edelman and you give him a young guy in N'Keal Harry who wasn't great towards the back end of last year, but I think he could be a guy that could step up this season given a better role. They also, once again, improved the offensive line, and I still think their defense, led by Bill Belichick, is good enough to get the job done. So I'm going to pick the Patriots behind Cam Newton to win the AFC East. I think Cam is also by far the best quarterback in the division. Andrew, what do you have to say about that?
Look, I have a lot of questions about the Pats. I'm not picking them to be the winners. I actually have the Bills being the winners. Look, making maybe my Patriots bias, but let's just look at this situation at hand. Tom Brady is gone from New England, and they lost so much on their defense. Kyle Van Noy, they had some guys opt out on their defense. I'm not sure. The McCourtneys, one of them.
Yeah, so the McCourtneys, one thing I'll say about them is those are two players that are going to be playing, and those are two players that, I think will have a big reason why the Patriots, I think, are going to win the division. They also bring back Stephon Gilmore, who is probably one of the 2 or 3 best defensive players in the whole league. They also have Chase Winovich, a young linebacker that came on towards the back end of last year. Lawrence Guy's underrated as well. And for me, the bottom line is I trust Bill Belichick to get the job done. There hasn't been anything that Buffalo has shown me to say, all right, we're winning the AFC East because of the strides we made last year. I don't think their quarterback is that good. They also lost Lorenzo Alexander on defense, who was one of their key parts there. And I just don't believe in the Bills' quarterback. I think it's that simple for me.
Yeah, well, I do agree. I don't believe in Josh Allen, but I do believe he has the skills to be a decent quarterback and a pretty good quarterback, and he can win some games for you. He can lose some games for you, but I just want to go back to the Patriots, and I want to just look at it and imagine, because Tom Brady is not there anymore, and this is Cam Newton. And Cam Newton is an MVP, and he's a Super Bowl. He didn't win the Super Bowl, but he went to the Super Bowl, so he has a lot of talent as well. I just don't think that he's going to be fitting into this scheme as much as everyone thinks he is. I feel like this is going to be a completely different change for the offensive line, because we can't forget, Tom Brady made that offensive line look good because he threw the ball so quickly right away. I see injuries being concerned, because if Cam Newton's legs and his body doesn't hold up, they're in big trouble, because Jarrett Stidham is a complete mess, in my opinion. And I think he's a waste of a pick from last year. Not trying to get too harsh on the guy, but that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But look, man, Tom Brady is gone, and it's very hard to replace Tom Brady. So look, I see the Pats as a good team, a solid team, but I really don't see them winning the division, because Cam Newton is not Tom Brady, and I just see that they lost a lot of pieces on defense. And yes, you said that they have a lot of good young players in Chase Winovich and McCourtneys and Gilmore. I just don't see it all adding up the way Buffalo is, because I feel Buffalo is poised and been planning on taking this division. this season. They just got that huge trade for Diggs. Their offensive line is the best, I think, in the division, and they have a great defense. Even if Alexander left, they have that stud.
Yeah, Trey White, who just got paid. Yeah, they got some dogs. And my thing is, like, I agree that Buffalo's defense is really good. I just don't really trust their offense. I think their offensive line is good. One thing I'll say about Stephon Diggs is this. Is he a very good player? Yes. But at the same time, I feel like he's one of those players where it's very easy to tick him off and things could go wrong really quickly. All I'll say about Stephon Diggs is this. If he was going to, if he was pissing off Kirk Cousins and they didn't, get along too well, just wait till he sees Josh Allen try to throw him a deep ball. Josh Allen is the most ironic quarterback in the NFL because he has the biggest arm in the NFL, but he still can't complete a pass over 20 yards. So it's interesting,
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. This is going to be a really tight division race, but I see Pats and Bills and Jets going to be up there. But look, Josh Allen is not proven. I don't think the winner of this division is going to make a deep run to the playoffs, to be honest, because I just don't see the firepower. And Josh Allen will be Achilles heels for the Bills. If you put Sam Darnold, if you put Kirk Cousins, I'm not going to.
Yeah, I agree.
Bills, they're the favorites.
Yeah,
it's Josh Allen, and unfortunately, I just take the Bills because they have a good coaching staff and a great defense, and I just think that they're ready to make this jump. I feel like they're going to surprise people this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bills have kind of become the more popular pick. I think people are so bored of seeing the Patriots win that they want to kind of speak it into existence that, okay, the Buffalo Bills have a quarterback that is going into his third year, a guy that could be willing and ready to take a jump, they think. I personally don't think so. They also see a good coach that led his team to the playoffs last year, a good defense, and I do believe that. I think kind of the perception around the NFL in terms of guys making, their predictions for the season just like us. I think when you look at the Buffalo Bills, fans are going to want to pick them because their fans get drunk and jump into tables over the Patriots because people are so bored of seeing the Patriots. But when I look at Bill Belichick, and more importantly, when I look at Cam Newton, I understand he hasn't been great and he's had a little bit of a hard time staying healthy. But if he is healthy, I'm taking him over Josh Allen any day. I'm taking Bill Belichick as the best head coach in football. I think he's that guy. I think he's that good and means that much to the Patriots team. And last year, you saw when the Buffalo Bills got to the playoffs in Houston, when they needed Josh Allen to make a big play, he couldn't do anything. So I see why you're high on Buffalo because I think they're a team that is really built for the regular season. Would I be shocked if they do win the division and the whole, Patriot thing with Cam Newton falls flat? I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think if New England does win the division, they could possibly be a wild card team. I still just really do not believe in their quarterback. I do like their defense, but I just think it all crumbles. They haven't shown me anything to tell me that they're going to win the division for the first time in however many years. So give me the Patriots to win the AFC East.
Yeah, totally fair take. I see that. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Jets. You guys know we're both huge Jet guys. It's a very interesting season for the Jets. Year 2 for Adam Gase, year 3 for Sam Darnold. And I think when you look at this Jet team, Andrew, the first thing that I always say, whatever decision, it all comes back to the decision of firing Mike McCagnon midway through June last year. You had an offseason where you had so much money. This was supposed to be the best offseason in the history of the Jets franchise. And you let him spend it, whatever. And then before the season starts, you let him go. And then Adam Gase basically becomes the GM. Joe Douglas comes in from there. But I've basically said it's all fallen apart with the Jets from there. And I still really like Sam Darnold. I believe in him. I think he could be a good quarterback in this league. I just don't know if their head coach is good enough at all to help him do that, along with the weapons surrounding him. And the fun thing is, there are some bright spots with this Jet team. I like some of the guys on defense. I believe in Greg Williams for getting the job done. I just don't know if they're going to be able to get over the hump. So, Andrew, I'm going to ask you, when you look at this Jet team, what comes to mind?
Look, I've been following the Jets every day this summer, and, the thing is, I think the biggest mistake we made is hiring Adam Gase, and I hope he proves me wrong, but until then, I feel like he's a quarterback that doesn't make adjustments, he doesn't make the right, he doesn't really mesh with the players that well. Look at Jamal happened, that was just a complete dumpster fire.
Yeah, look at what happened in Miami, too, with Ajayi and Jarvis Landry. So he has a history of doing that.
Yeah, and he seems kind of stubborn. I'm not going to lie, because he just keeps bringing these players from Miami. They bring the Frank Gore. We have 4 running backs in the room when we have barely a wide receiver that could be labeled as a number 1 or number 2. And I just don't understand the direction of this team. The offensive line, I really do like. It's a work in progress, but it's improving. Mekhi Becton's going to be a beast.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a guy for Sam Darnold. And I'm very excited to see Sam Darnold. But I am just so upset because I feel like if we had a coach that was better than Adam Gase, we could be a little more happy about the future of this team. But right now, I just see instability, and I just see another 8-8 season, a 7-9 season, or a very short playoff run if that is. And that's a shame because Sam Darnold is a really good quarterback, and I think you would agree with that because he's shown the potential. It's just he has no receivers now as well. And we keep seeing the same problem over and over again, and we still don't get the weapons. We didn't trade for anyone. I would have traded for DeAndre Hopkins. I know they would probably accept it, but come on, you got to make a move somewhere. Denzel Mims is good, but he's a rookie from Baylor College that doesn't have the offensive playbook that a professional football team in the NFL has. So it's going to take an adjustment. So those are my thoughts, just spitting it out there.
Yeah, a couple of things you hit on that I want to talk about. Number one, I agree. I do not think Sam Darnold is the problem at all. I don't know if Adam Gase, has really put him in the best position to succeed. But here's the thing. When I look at, besides head coach, when I look at some of the surrounding pieces and the other parts of this Jet team, I agree. There are some things to like. I think this offensive line is going to be really improved behind Becton and George Fant, and they bring in Greg Van Roten. Alex Lewis is back. They also bring in Connor McGovern to be the starting center from Denver. So Joe Douglas has really at least made an effort to try to improve this offensive line. You look at the defense, like last year, man, Greg Williams really did it for me. The job he did with some guys that a lot of guys that most people around the NFL, they didn't really know who their names were. And even though Jamal Adams is no longer here, I still think this defense is going to be pretty good. They made some moves by bringing in Pierre Desir to be the new number 1 corner from Indy. They bring in Brad McDougal in the Jamal Adams trade. Marcus May is back. Brian Poole is back to play slot. As a Jet guy, look, you're really relying on Quinnen Williams to break out in his second year. He did show some flashes towards the back end of last season. They also bring back Avery Williamson. He was one of the better players on defense 2 years ago. Unfortunately, he got hurt in camp last year, and he missed the season. So on defense, Andrew, there are some guys here that I think could play. And if Greg Williams got the job done last year with guys whose names we didn't really know, I'm excited to see with guys like Avery Williamson and another year of Quinnen Williams, Pierre Desir, Marcus May. I'm excited to see what this defense could do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really solid. It's going to be top 15 in my eyes. And I've been reading the papers on the Post. Quinnen Williams seems like he's going through a really good summer of training. I saw his body; he shedded a lot of body fat, and I feel like he said himself, he feels like he's a whole new player and he's going to be unstoppable this year. So I'm really excited to see him go through with that and see how much he improved. And I think that we need to rely on our draft pick, Quinnen Williams, because he's the number 1 guy who has the most potential now after Jamal Adams. I love Marcus May. I think he's going to be a really good player, taking the role of Jamal. And I really do like our defense. I feel like our defense is not going to be the issue once again. The thing is the offense going to put up points enough? They're going to be able to generate enough first downs, get no more 3-and-outs, or are they just going to keep being in the backfire,
Yeah, I think Le'Veon Bell is another player here that we have to really look at. We know the deal with this guy. He obviously sat out from Pittsburgh after he had a great career there, ended up signing with the Jets, and last year, even though it was behind a very bad offensive line, he really wasn't able to get the job done. And I think if this Jet team wants to take the next step, we need to see that same guy that we saw in Le'Veon Bell when he was a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to need to see him get the job done. I actually like the move to bring in Frank Gore. I know he's old, but he was very productive on the Bills last year. He's been a guy that's been through all the battles. He's looked good in camp. We also have a young running back that we drafted in, I believe, the 4th round, Michael Pirine from Florida. I'm looking forward to see what he could do. And then in terms of the receivers, yeah, like Rashad Perriman and Denzel Mims were 2 moves I liked, but you don't really know how much of an impact they're going to make They have Jamison Crowder as well, who I thought really developed some nice chemistry with Sam Darnold last year. Hopefully, Ryan Griffin at tight end, along with Chris Herndon, could generate some more chemistry and develop some more weapons and consistency with Sam Darnold as well. When I look at this Jet team, Andrew, like I'm telling you, guys like Ashton Davis as a safety, guys like Blake Cashman as a linebacker, and then a guy like a Denzel Mims, maybe, a guy like a Chris Hogan, who he brought in from New England. I think, led by Sam Darnold and the quarterback, there are some small signs of optimism for this Jet team, if you look into them deeply. It just really all falls back on the head coach, and I think he's really the key in if this team is successful or not.
Yeah, no, I agree, definitely. And look, Zach, what do you have them making the wild card? Or
it's funny because before the Jamal Adams trade, I actually did. I had the Jets as a wild card. And since they traded Jamal, I've let go of that pick. I have them just missing the playoffs. But I'm excited for the season, man. I really do think Sam Darnold could be a quarterback that takes the next step. I think when you look at the National Football League, right, every season, especially the last 3 seasons, there have been a quarterback that has really broken out in their second or third year. Last year, it was Lamar Jackson breaking out in year 2. The year before that, it was Patrick Mahomes breaking out in his second year. The year before that, it was Carson Wentz who really broke out in his second year. So there are still plenty of guys that could, break out and have a really successful, second or third season. I think Sam Darnold, from an ability standpoint, is more likely to be that guy as opposed to like a Josh Allen or a Baker Mayfield. But he just needs to, hopefully stay healthy. That's another big thing, man. This guy, as good as he is, he hasn't really been able to stay on the field. So if he could stay on the field, I think I'm excited to see what he could do, and hopefully he could lead this Jet team to a place they haven't been in a while.
Yeah. Hopefully make the playoffs. I hope, my mind is, I hope they actually be second in the division, but who knows? I mean, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I always miss it, but man, a guy could try for a little bit.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Moving on to the one team we haven't spoken about much in the AFC East yet, that is the Miami Dolphins, and I think there is a lot of optimism going into this season for the Miami Dolphins, specifically based on what this team was able to do last season. You remember, Andrew, early last season, this team was going absolutely nowhere. They were ready to tank. They were just getting blown out game after game after game. And I really do give Brian Flores credit because this team had 0-16 written all over them at the beginning of last season. This team was able to fight. They won a couple games down the stretch towards the back end of the season that not a lot of people really expected them to win at all, expecting winning a Game 17 game in Foxborough, which ended up knocking the Patriots to the number 3 seed in the AFC, and we all know what happened in their playoff game against Tennessee. So I think there is some optimism for this Dolphin team. They make some big-time moves in the draft with all their capital, bringing in Tua Tagovailoa. The Dolphins did announce yesterday that Ryan Fitzpatrick will start their Week 1 game against the New England Patriots, so it's going to be a matter of time, though, before Tua is able to step in and be the next starting quarterback for this Miami Dolphin team. But Andrew, I'm going to say this. A lot of people like the moves that this Dolphin team was able to make by bringing in, Kyle Van Noy and Byron Jones and Tua. A lot of people like this Dolphin team. Give me your thoughts on them.
Yeah, look, once again, I really like the Tua move. I just think it's a risk because of his injuries, and he's a mobile quarterback, so we're going to see. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback, but I just have my eyebrows open a little bit higher because I could see how he could turn from a really promising quarterback to be the next Josh Rosen. And I know that's a hot take, but listen, he came from Alabama with a stacked offense, and he looked great. But now he's going to be on the Miami Dolphins without the firepower that they had in Alabama. And I just see them. It's going to be a very tough awakening for Tua. I don't think he's going to be the Lamar Jackson that we think he is going to be and just storm out of the gate going insane. But I like the direction they're heading in. I like the pieces that they added on the defense. I feel like they're going to be a team up and coming, and this year is just going to be another year. But just don't get me wrong, though, Zach. They're going to be hard out. Any team that versus them, besides Fitzpatrick, if Tua starts getting in, they're not going to be a team you want to play any time of the year.
Yeah.
And they have as well.
I think they got some guys here that could make some plays. Devontae Parker and Preston Williams were 2 guys that really came on for them towards the back end of last year. They bring in Matt Breida, the running back from San Francisco. And one thing I'll say about Tua is this. I think that a lot of people are forgetting because of Joe Burrow and how good he was last year. I think some people around the league are forgetting just how good Tua could possibly be. Does he have to stay healthy? Absolutely. But this guy's a lefty quarterback that could just throws a tremendous deep ball. And they did bring in some weapons on defense, bringing in Van Noy and paying Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, locking both those guys up. Bobby McCann, Eric Rowe at safety. They have some experienced guys here, and I think with Brian Flores leading the way, I agree with you. The future is bright, and I do believe in Tua. I know some people aren't too high on him, but I do believe in Tagovailoa as a quarterback that will be the future of this Miami Dolphin team, especially with Brian Flores leading the way. Once again, he just did a phenomenal job last year. This team had 0-16 written all over them, and the fact that by season's end, he brought them into New England and got that in the win, I think he deserved a lot of credit.
Yeah, I agree with you, and basically we're saying the same thing about it, so glad to hear we have them both. Hopefully they don't overtake the Jets, so that's, I hope the best, but at the same time,
Yeah, so once again, to recap, Andrew has the Buffalo Bills winning the AFC East. I have the Patriots. We're both really looking forward to see what all four teams in this division could do.